I was just a child back then. 11 years old, old enough to question things, but still too young to understand danger. Everyone in my town knew about the path. They didn't call it by its real name. To us, it was simply the Lost Path, a narrow dirt trail cutting through the forest. Short, ordinary, almost harmless at first glance. But every child knew the stories. Kids who entered that path never came back. Their names were written on plaques at school, their pictures smiling from missing posters. Some were older than me, some younger. All gone. Police searched for years. Dogs, drones, rescue teams, not a single trace. Adults avoided talking about it. Teachers warned us. Parents whispered about it at night. But children always feel the pull of the forbidden. Whenever we played near the forest, that part of the trees felt different. The air was heavier. The sound was wrong, as if the woods were holding their breath. One afternoon, walking home from school, I stopped in front of it. The Lost Path. Dark, quiet, still, waiting. I don't know why I stepped closer. Maybe curiosity, maybe stupidity, maybe something else. Just as I leaned forward, I heard a voice behind me. "Don't look inside." I spun around. No one. The voice didn't belong to a child. Didn't belong to an adult either. It was something in between, something without age. The hairs on my arms rose, but I didn't run. I should have. But when you're a child, fear pulls you forward instead of back. I took another step. Inside the trees, at the very end of the path, I saw someone standing, small like a child, but wrong. Arms a little too long, head slightly tilted, as if it didn't know how to hold itself. And then I saw the face. Not a human face, not even close. My breath caught. My mind screamed. But my feet moved on their own. I stepped into the Lost Path. That was the day everything changed. I became one of the missing children of that road. But I was the only one who ever came back. The first step was the hardest, not because the ground was uneven, but because something in the air changed the moment my foot crossed the edge of the trees. It felt colder, quieter, like the whole forest was watching me. I remember thinking, if other kids disappeared here, why am I walking in? But the path didn't feel empty. It felt aware. Every sound I made, every breath, every shuffle of dirt, echoed too loudly. It was as if the forest was repeating my movements a split second after I made them. At one point I stopped walking, and the echo stopped too. Except something else kept moving. A soft crunch behind me. I turned quickly. Nothing. But I swear, the trees had shifted, just slightly, as if something had just stepped behind them. I kept going. Further in, the light changed. The sky was bright outside, yet under the trees it looked like late evening. Shadows were too long, too stretched, as if they didn't belong to the objects creating them. Then I saw it again. The figure, the same small body, the same slightly crooked head tilt, standing in the middle of the path, facing away from me. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could, it moved, not walked, not turned. It adjusted like a puppet being pulled into a new pose by invisible strings. Its head rotated first, then the shoulders, then the legs, each movement delayed, disconnected, unnatural. Finally, it faced me. We stared at each other for what felt like hours. The face was still wrong, still too smooth, too blank, too empty. But the eyes were new. Two dark circles, but inside them, something moved. Not reflections. Something alive. I stepped back. The figure mirrored me. Not perfectly, but close enough to feel intentional. Then it whispered, a voice like a child imitating another child. "You came back." My lungs froze. I hadn't said anything about coming back. I had never been here before. But whatever it was, it thought it recognized me. Branches snapped behind me. Not one, many. As if something large was moving toward the path. And then, from deep within the woods, a voice echoed, "Don't let him see you." It was the same voice as before, the voice without age. That's when I realized something terrifying. I wasn't alone on this path, and the thing in front of me wasn't the only thing here. I don't know why I didn't run. Any normal child would have. But something about that path, about the figure standing on it, held me still, like the air itself had thickened around my legs. The voice that whispered from the woods echoed again, softer this time. "Don't stand in his shadow." His shadow? I didn't even know what he was. The figure stopped mirroring me. It simply stood there, head tilted, as if studying me, or waiting for me to make the wrong choice. Behind it, the trees swayed, but not with wind. They bent slightly, as though something large moved behind them. Something that didn't bother hiding anymore. I took a careful step back. The figure didn't move. Its eyes, those dark circles, followed me without its head shifting. They tracked me like floating points inside an empty mask. Then the path changed. I mean, it literally changed. The ground behind me, the soft dirt I had walked on, began sinking, very slowly, like something underground was pulling the soil downward. My footprints disappeared one by one, swallowed by the earth. That's when I realized the path wasn't just dangerous. It didn't want me to leave. Something brushed my arm. Not gently, curiously, like a hand made of cold air feeling its way up my sleeve. I spun around. Nobody. But the voice came again, urgent now. "Don't let the path touch you." Touch me? How does a path touch someone? Unless it wasn't the ground. It was the thing beneath the ground. Suddenly, the trees behind the figure snapped, loud, cracking sounds like bones under pressure. A second figure stepped out, then a third, then another. They were all identical. Same wrong body, same tilted head, same empty face. But each moved differently, as if trying to learn how a human should walk. Their steps were slow, rehearsed, almost thoughtful. I stumbled backward. One of them opened its mouth, too wide, too silent, and pointed toward me with a shaking hand. The others followed. Then the first one, the one I saw earlier, spoke again. "If you leave now, you'll forget us." I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't want to. But when one of them stepped forward, the dirt beneath my feet shifted again, rising this time like it was pushing me away, like the path was about to make its choice. Either keep me or force me out. The path pushed me backward with that rising swell of dirt, almost like a heartbeat under the ground. I stumbled, but before I could fall, a heavy stillness spread across the air. The figures froze, all of them, their bodies locked mid-movement, like marionettes whose strings had suddenly been pulled tight. Only their eyes moved, those dark, shifting circles tracking me with unnatural patience. The forest behind them began to close, not metaphorically, literally. Branches twisted, weaving themselves together. Tree trunks shifted inches at a time, grinding like stone. Shadows folded into one another until the path behind the figures was sealed, swallowed by a darkness that didn't look like shadow at all. It looked like a hole, a place where the world simply ended. Then I heard something I will never forget, the sound of children crying. Soft at first, but many. Not one voice, not two, dozens. Their sobs echoed deep inside that sealed darkness, overlapping, desperate. And beneath those cries was something else, something heavier, a deep, slow inhale, as if the forest itself was breathing in the fear. "Don't go near the dark," the ageless voice whispered. "It remembers you. Remembers me." I wanted to scream, "I've never been here." But something inside me hesitated, like a memory trapped underwater, just out of reach. The first figure stepped forward again, this time smoother, more confident, as if it had learned from my reactions. It reached its hand toward me, not aggressively, but almost gently, almost like it was asking. Behind it, the crying children grew louder. "Come back," one voice pleaded. "You left us." "I never." The words stuck in my throat. The dirt beneath my feet pulsed once, twice, like something choosing for me. Then a cold realization hit me. The path didn't want to harm me. It wanted to keep me, just like the others. The ground trembled softly. The figures stepped closer. Their arms lifted in unison, slow, deliberate, and pointed toward the sealed darkness behind them. And then, as if answering a silent question, the crying stopped. All at once, the forest fell dead silent. And in that silence, a new sound slipped through. A whisper from behind me, close enough that I felt its breath at my ear. "Run." I ran, not because I chose to, but because something inside me obeyed the voice before I could think. My feet pounded against the dirt path, each step heavier than the last. The forest around me blurred, shapes twisting into streaks of black and green. But even as I ran, I felt them behind me. Not footsteps, not breathing, just a presence, a pressure, like the forest itself was leaning forward, watching every move. The trees grew tighter the farther I went, branches lowered, brushing my shoulders as if trying to grab hold. Roots twisted upward, catching my ankles, slowing me down inch by inch. And then I noticed something horrifying. The forest wasn't chasing me. It was guiding me. The path split in places, but the earth rose beneath my feet, tilting subtly, forcing me left, then right, always pushing me deeper. It felt alive, thinking, choosing, like it was trying to place me somewhere meant for me. My breath burned in my chest, my legs ached. I wanted to scream, but the moment sound reached my throat, I heard another voice, a child's whisper just ahead of me. "Don't let it turn you around." That whisper stopped me cold, because the moment I paused, the forest exhaled. A long, low gust swept through the path, bending branches toward me. I spun around instinctively and froze. The path I had just run down was gone. Not hidden, not overgrown. Gone. A wall of trees now stood there, fitted together like ribs. Between their trunks, dozens of small shadows shifted, peering back at me. Children, but not alive. Their outlines flickered in and out, as if the forest were projecting them through the trees. Faces pale, eyes hollow, movements jerky like old film. One of them stepped closer to the barrier. A girl, no older than me at the time. Her mouth didn't move, but her voice reached me inside my skull. "You weren't supposed to come back." My throat tightened. "The others stayed," she whispered. "Why didn't you?" "I don't belong here," I managed. "But you walked the road," she said, "and the road remembers every child who walks it." Behind her, more figures appeared, their bodies stiff, motionless, but their shadows stretched toward me with impossible length. "You left us," another voice said. "You opened the way." Suddenly, the ground under my feet trembled again, a warning, because behind me, deeper in the forest, something enormous inhaled. A slow breath that pulled leaves, dust, and shadows toward the trees in front of me. The girl's eyes widened. Run before it chooses you again. And just like that, the forest opened a narrow passage to my right. A way out, or a trap. I didn't know, but I ran anyway. I burst into the narrow passage the forest had opened for me. It felt wrong from the first step. Too narrow, too direct, as if it already knew where I was going. I kept running, branches slapping against my arms and tearing at my clothes. Every breath scraped inside my throat. But even as I ran, I realized something terrifying. The path wasn't staying the same. Behind me, I heard the forest shifting. Trees sliding, roots twisting, soil rising and collapsing. Like the whole landscape was rearranging itself to erase the way back. I didn't dare look over my shoulder. I already knew what I'd see. Nothing. Just the forest closing behind me like a giant mouth. But even worse, I kept hearing voices. Not whispers this time. Children running beside me, breathing with me. But when I glanced sideways, nothing was there. Just the suggestion of movement, like shadows trying to take shape. One voice, right at my ear, said, "Don't stop. If you stop, it learns your shape." The words chilled me so deeply, I stumbled, because it meant there was something out there learning me, memorizing me. The forest, the road, whatever controlled this place. It wasn't random. It studied the children who entered, copied them, used them, and I had been stupid enough to walk the road alone. Branches arched over me, forming a tunnel. For a moment, everything went pitch black. I slowed, not by choice, but because the darkness thickened, like walking through ink. Then suddenly, a hand grabbed my wrist, cold, small, childlike. I spun around and saw nothing, but the pressure tightened, pulling me backward. "No," a voice hissed, my voice, from somewhere behind me. "Don't go where I went." I tore my arm free and stumbled forward into the fading darkness. When light returned, moonlight leaking through branches, I found myself standing before something impossible. A clearing, perfectly circular, silent, still. In the center was a broken road sign. White paint, rusting metal, bent at the base as if something massive had struck it. But the worst part was the lettering. "Returning is not allowed. The road takes what you bring." Two messages, half faded, both scratched over by what looked like fingernails. My stomach tightened because the ground around the sign moved. Shadows writhed beneath the soil. Small shapes, small limbs, small hands pushing upward. And then a child's face surfaced from the dirt. Half-formed, half-buried, eyes wide open. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "Once the road marks you, it won't let go." Then the soil swallowed her again. And behind me, the forest inhaled, a deep, dragging breath. Closer now, much closer. I ran again, because whatever followed me had finally decided to catch up. I don't know how long I ran after the clearing disappeared behind me. Minutes or hours. The forest made time feel unreal. All I knew was that whatever followed me, whatever studied me, was getting closer. The ground shook again. Leaves rushed past my feet, pulled backward as though the forest was inhaling me. I stumbled, fell to my knees, and for a moment I felt something cold brush the back of my neck. A hand, small, childlike. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Instead, I crawled forward, pushing myself through roots and thorns until suddenly the trees stopped. I fell onto open ground. A familiar gravel crunch sounded beneath my palms. A smell I knew. Dust, sun-heated stones, distant traffic. When I lifted my head, I was back at the beginning of the road. The same bent sign, the same dry ditch, the same crooked row of mailboxes. Only this time, someone was standing at the far end. My mother, her face pale, terrified, eyes wide as if she'd aged years in the few hours I'd been gone. She didn't run to me. She didn't scream my name. She just whispered, "You weren't supposed to come back." And for the first time I understood. The children who disappeared hadn't been lost. They had been taken, chosen, marked. And when I stepped onto that road, I became one of them. I stumbled into her arms anyway. She held me, shaking so violently I thought she might collapse. Behind us, the forest exhaled one last time, a long breath that lifted the dust around our feet. Then silence. For years after, my mother forbade me from going near that place. We moved shortly after. She never spoke of the road again. I tried to forget. I tried to convince myself that what happened was the imagination of a scared child. But the truth followed me into adulthood. Because sometimes, late at night, I still hear footsteps behind me, small ones, measured, almost matching mine. And last winter I heard something worse. News of a missing boy, last seen walking toward the old forest road, the same one, the same path. And when I heard that, something inside me awakened. A memory, a warning, a truth that never faded. The road takes what you bring and returns for what you took. So now I know. I didn't escape. I was only released. And the road is waiting for me again.